take you through it.
Thank you, Ishri. Yes, I'm on. Thank you. Hello, good evening, everybody. So, wonderful speeches so far, really inspiring. We're going to be talking about, we've been talking about relative privilege, of course, and balancing the scales is about balancing this relative privilege. One of the big challenges we have with organizations is how do we move from a sense of me and others, or seeing others and me and this sense of separation, and actually how do we move to more of a sense of us? A sense of collective belonging inside organizations is often missing. So what does us mean in an organizational sense? What is it that creates this sense of us? And how do we know when an organization is balancing the scales? You know, is moving beyond just KPIs and metrics and the compliance and ticking the boxes? Well, what we often find is that when this happens is when organizations are really working in an inclusive way and being warm and opening and listening. And that's what actually a lot of the talks have already been about this morning, this afternoon, sorry. You know, when an organization then really takes a life of its own, becomes animated, and people become energized. So this concept of energy, at the heart of the shift of thinking to becoming us and the ability to create balance is the concept of energy. Now, energy is the ability to do work. In an organizational sense, it's the ability of people and teams to do meaningful and impactful work. But when we're looking at energy, we need to look way beyond the transactional just getting work done. You know, how many things have I done today? Have I met my project goals? We're actually looking at the social energy of the organization. What's happening energetically between the people, between the teams, between the organizations, even out into the wider ecosystem. And this is what we work with this to balance the energy is effectively the balancing the scales. So if we can create this sense of balance, we can work with this energy, we can energize organizations. Does it actually make a difference? You know, we're going to be looking in this exercise around the benefits case. Well, the evidence is that it does, and we'll share some examples of that with you. The other point I just wanted to make around the benefits case, and I mentioned compliance, is ESG. And of course, I think the subtitle of the event issuing was around putting more S into your ESG. So the S is the social part of ESG, and you know, this social energy is really what that's about. And again, it's about shifting from what you'll see when you look at the legislation that's coming from from Europe at the moment. The UK is also looking at legislation, which is generally around doing no harm. It's about making sure that people have fair wages and so on. But actually shifting beyond that to really energizing and bringing organisations to life, and in the end, actually making work a fairer and more rewarding place to be. So what we're going to do for the next part of this evening, we're going to have a little bit of moving around. We're going to experience this shift of energy because we're sitting here, we're kind of forming a group, we're forming an organisation of sorts as we're here. And what I'm going to invite you to do is actually to get up and come and join me back in the space where we were before, just outside the door here. And we're going to take a little exercise to look at the social energy inside organisations. After that, you can come back, so you can leave everything on the tables. So come and join me, and let's experience it. So the first thing I'm going to invite you to do is actually just to move around a little bit and just go and find somebody, or maybe two people, who maybe don't look like you, who maybe you wouldn't normally go up to and say hello to, who maybe you normally wouldn't go and work with. Just go and say hello. Don't have a conversation yet because we're a bit limited on time. But say hello, shake hands, introduce yourselves. Just mix yourselves up a bit and maybe form a bit more movement and energy in the centre. So please go ahead, mix yourselves up a little bit. Nobody will bite. We're all friends. Great. Good. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to interrupt your saying hellos and your conversations. So thank you everybody for that, and apologies for cutting in, because it's very rude. I know it's cutting on conversations, but there's going to be plenty of opportunity to that before. So the first thing that we've done here is, think about this in an organisational sense, and this just doesn't happen very often. We've just mixed things up. We've gone and we've spoken to people who we don't normally meet up. Whenever I see a group of people, the first thing they do is, of course, they go and find the person who feels comfortable to speak with, and we find that in teams as well. So this is obviously this is about diversity. This is the first part of what we call the social energy of organisations. It's the sense of creating diversity in the organisation. Is it important for the benefits case for balancing the scales? Well, absolutely. I think we're all in the diversity world here, so we know. Lots of research around this. I mean, some of the research I've seen, anything from 15 up to even 50% improvement in profitability of organisations that have DE&I initiatives. So it's a real thing, it's a real thing, as well as being the right thing to do. So that's the first part, is creating some diversity in the group. The next bit we want to do is maybe just in little groups of 3 or 4, as you are naturally, turn around. And actually this time I will let you have a little conversation for a couple of minutes. What is the thing that connects you together? So in your group of, let's say, 4s, just try and find out, what is it that connects you together? Some kind of common connection. So have a go at that. Find those 2, yeah?
You can join this group, yeah? At the end. For now behind, but we will have something to leave.
So you found a connection. Good. How are you doing? Finding something common? Common connection? Again, almost there. Almost there. Try and find your common connection.
When you go in a room and you don't see or feel that.
Something common coming up? Common connection? Yeah, beginning to got one? Yeah, good, great, yeah.
I know that you wanted to make more money this evening.
I also volunteer with the charity as a...
Great, you're doing some common connections there, yeah. Okay, thank you everybody.
Good.
Let's just I'm going to cut you off again on your conversations, and we're going to just begin to share a little bit and find out what some of the common connections are. So we're going to come back into the conversation now. This is the difficult bit, getting everybody to stop talking. Okay, yeah, good to go. Good to go, everybody. Great. So what I'm curious about is what some of the common connections are, actually, and whether there's connections across groups. So I know you came up with a common connection between you, which was? Yeah. Teaching, okay. So you've all found some kind of connection there around teaching and education. Interesting. How about this? You had a 4 over here, didn't you?
Challenging the status quo.
You like to challenge the status quo. That doesn't surprise me with Lorna in the group. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, curiosity. You're really curious people. I love that. Yeah, great. How about there was a group over here, I think.
Helping people with mental well-being.
Yes.
And following our passion.
Okay, great. Yeah. So we've got curious people, we've got passionate people. Over here.
We had curiosity as well, but
Okay.
also sort of value around fairness and justice.
Yes. Okay. So you're sharing a value around fairness and justice. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very well. Yeah. That's great, isn't it? Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
Our theme was cognitive diversity
Cognitive device. That's great. Yes.
and the value of diversity of thought.
Yes. Okay.
Impact socially and from a business context too.
Good. Thank you, Paul. How about this group?
Well, the social interaction, social interests, things to bring you together.
Yep. Yeah. People. Excellent. That's really interesting because I wasn't sure actually whether there'd be some groups here that share common connections. There's a couple of people doing curiosity, but it's amazing when you do get into small groups and you find actually there is a common connection there, and exploring that common connection is something often we don't do at work, or is not encouraged. It's maybe not part of the social way of doing things. I'm going to take that thing off because it doesn't work anyway. So, why is this important in terms of a business sense? This sense of connection is actually around, it drives a lot of performance. I mean, teamwork, we do a lot of work with teams, and there's a lot of evidence, for example, teams are typically about 20% more productive if they're a high-performing team than low-performing teams. So finding connection is really, really important inside the organisation, in addition to what we discussed before, which was the diversity side. So the third part I'm going to talk about then, in terms of creating this energy in organisations, is to think a little bit about purpose. Now, somewhere I've got the sheets of paper, from my lovely assistant, who is also my wife. So I have to say that. So, what? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what I'm curious now, as a group, because we talked about individual connections, what's the sense of purpose? What are the things, and shout things, this group, this evening, as we've come together, I'm going to call it a group, because we're not quite a team yet, or an organisation, but as a group, what is that purpose? What's the real sense of meaning of why we're here? I'm going to capture some of these and see whether we get something that really resonates with everybody.
Helping people.
Helping people, yeah.
Be of service.
Helping and service. That's interesting. Yeah.
Equity.
Okay. Yep. We can put these down on the floor and we can kind of see them there. So, passionate about equity. Taking action. Yeah.
The risk of inaction.
Yeah. So being in action so that you are not inactive. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So we've got difference. We'll just do another couple. And we have. Eliminate the fear, you said?
They're really must, yeah.
Yeah, so fear, put fear on there so we can remember that one. Agency. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Let me take one more sense of purpose for this group this evening. Something that's really social justice. Achieving social justice. That's a very good one. Even yesterday, today is social justice. Achieving social justice. So, I mean, it's difficult to choose one of these, but what I would say is, I'll just put that one down there as well, achieving social justice. I mean, do these kind of resonate with everybody? Is there something people are feeling this group's about? This is what this group could do, has the potential to really do and to really make a difference with. So some nodding heads, yeah. Feeling in agreement with those. They kind of capture what this group's about, what this sense of purpose is about. So what we're doing here in an organisational sense, if we imagine ourselves as becoming part of an organisation here tonight, the sense of purpose drives engagement. So we talk about connection, which is around common shared experiences, but engagement is around when people are truly feeling committed to working for a sense of purpose. So this sense of engagement, again, is another part of the benefits case. If you're looking at a benefits case for social change. Again, does engagement actually have an impact? Well, yes, it does. Again, in terms of performance impact, lots of research out there. There's loads of companies now that do research on engagement. One of the ones I always look at is from Gallup, actually. Gallup, a very good source for this, which they were saying there's companies with highly engaged employees, they're getting something like 17% higher productivity than those with lower sense of engagement. So, we all know the stories around purpose and values in organisations that have been dreamt up in a boardroom somewhere without really engaging people and involving people. So it's really, really important to have this as part of, and getting everybody's voice. We're talking about levelling today. We're talking about balancing the scales, getting everybody's voice in that sense of purpose. Because there's nothing worse than being in an organisation and not being heard, not being driven by a sense of real meaning of why am I in this organisation. A lot of the younger generation, of course, are coming through into the workplace now, being driven by this sense of the purpose. It's not so much about the money anymore. It's fascinating. I find it fascinating. The other point I just wanted to make on engagement is that it also drives a sense of well-being. And things you were saying, William, the importance of this. And our friends at Aon do a great report. There was a great report that was looking about the impact on company performance of well-being, showing anything from 11 to 55% improvement on company performance. So, there's good evidence for that.
Can I check in? What's our shared purpose? I didn't get it.
So the shared purpose, nobody really said there is a shared purpose, but people were coming. I mean, there was achieving social justice came at the end.
Okay, should we do a vote? I know a vote isn't like the best way of doing it, right?
Yep.
But what do we have? Agency?
So we've got having agency. We've got achieving social justice.
Okay, we're going to do one at a time. So who loves agency? Who thinks agency is what we're all about here? Okay, we've got agency. We've got achieving social justice. Yeah, that's a good one. I think that probably is it, unless anybody wants to make a case for any of the other words. Achieving social justice.
Yeah.
Do you all feel like moved by that? Okay, good. So we're going to go back and we're going to find out now how we're doing that in the space of sport and people who are doing that really well. So everybody turn around and look at Paul over there, Paul Elliott, who's really generously given us his time this evening. He's got a flight at 7 o'clock in the morning and he's still here. So we really appreciate that. Paul's not just been a great footballer. He's going to tell you his story anyway, but he's doing a huge amount of work to promote equity around race and beyond, I think, in the space of football. So if we all go back and sit where we were, and Paul will share his story with you.
So thank you everybody for engaging in the exercise. If you're interested, we can take the exercise. Yeah.